I just need you to check out this clip. Because that was awesome. I launched Battlefield 6 today with a complete blank slate. 2042 had kind of dulled my senses and excitement for the franchise, so my expectations were as low as they could possibly get. It was just me waiting to see if Battlefield 6 could really capture that feeling that Battlefield has been missing for the last couple of entries. Really, I just wanted to believe again in Battlefield. I wanted a game that pulled me in, those unpredictable moments, the kind that you can't plan for, the chaos that makes you grind your teeth to stubs. I'm not looking for perfection with Battlefield 6. I'm just hoping that Battlefield will do what Battlefield does best. And with Battlefield 6, I'm actually remarkably surprised. I jumped into my first match and noticed something immediately. It felt smooth. No frame drops, no weird lag spikes, no I swear I hit him moments. If I missed, I knew it was me, and that alone was already a better start than the 2042 experience. Because plenty of players online are saying the same things, like how it feels surprisingly fluid and well optimized for a beta at least. And it was reassuring to say the least, because knowing that other people are seeing the same things that I did really means that Battlefield is going in the right direction. And so as I kept playing, I realised that the combat really did have a nice balance. Guns were really responsive, but not overly twitchy, and hitboxes definitely felt fair, and didn't give you the sense that the game was just making its mind up in that very moment. It was almost as if the hitboxes were actually decent this time. Vehicles are also a massive part of Battlefield, so I can't really go on talking without mentioning them. I just need to put it out there, I have never been the best pilot or driver in the world, but I can say that the tanks in this game feel punchy and dangerous without being unstoppable. Don't get me wrong, you are practically unstoppable in these tanks, but with the right classes, you will be demolished in a matter of seconds. And the choppers are still, well, choppers. In the right hands, they're graceful death machines, but in the wrong hands, which are mine, then that is the fastest way to decorate the nearest hill with a flaming wreckage and tons of dead bodies. Even just your standard transport vehicles feel more useful than I expected. Generally, I try and use vehicles as much as possible to traverse the map and get to an objective quicker, and they were readily available in every single match I played. And there was a moment where I took a dirt buggy, ran past enemy lines, snuck through, captured the objective, and vanished before they even knew what happened. It wasn't flashy, but it felt like just standard Battlefield. And of course, it wouldn't be Battlefield without Destruction, and it really stood out. Now we all know that Destruction is not a new thing for Battlefield, it's been there for a very long time. But this time around, it didn't feel overly exaggerated, it felt more natural in the way that buildings or items were blowing up. And so a grenade wouldn't just massively blow away half a building, it would just blow a small little chunk of it away. And I think it was that I was really appreciating with Battlefield 6. Because it didn't feel like a gimmick, just a, oh, it's Battlefield, they've got to have Destruction. It felt natural, which was really, really nice. And while we're on the topic of explosions and grenades, the grenades actually felt remarkably grounded, literally. They didn't soar across the map like they do in Call of Duty, and at first, that really threw me off, but then I realised that it just added to the realism, because you actually had to think about your positioning when throwing a grenade. You couldn't just throw it from half a map away and just expect it to land. And in essence, it's really giving the same kind of thrill that I felt with Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. And I think the biggest piece of praise that I can give to EA and Battlefield as an IP right now is that it feels like Battlefield have got their identity back. Because realistically, past Battlefield 1, the franchise has been on a bit of a decline. Because Battlefield 5, and especially Battlefield 2042, definitely shook the foundations of trust within the community. And so in essence, this is kind of a return to form, if you will, for the franchise. And I sat there thinking today, what really stood out to me with Battlefield 6? What really had that USP about the game? And to be honest, I can really pin it down to everything just feeling really stable, from the frame rate to the hit detection. I never once blamed myself for losing a gunfight, and that's something quite remarkable in today's FPS space. And that clip that I showed you at the beginning of the video was just one of those pure Battlefield moments where chaos and luck collide in a spectacular fashion. Honestly, when that happened to me, I thought this game is awesome. And so far that's been my general takeaway with Battlefield, but it's not been all perfect for me. The beta maps feel tight, but sometimes a little too tight. Instead of wide open spaces with multiple approaches, there were moments where I felt like I was just being funneled into just one of these predictable lanes. And don't get me wrong, you can just run around and do whatever you want to do. It depends if you want to be a sheep or a shepherd, I guess. But the fight stayed intense no matter where I went, but I did miss the sprawling scope of older Battlefield titles. And I think it's down to the fact that Battlefield so far has a lot of horizontal based maps, and so there's a lot of climbing, and so people just decide not to bother with it. But that's just my experience. I still had a great time playing Battlefield 6. And I don't know if this is just me, but the sliding mechanic also just felt like a little bit over the top. It's fun to use, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it just feels like my soldier is swapping his combat boots for like roller skates and just sliding around. And in a game that otherwise feels grounded, this little exaggeration just stuck out to me just a little bit. But in general with FPS games, sliding is becoming the new dolphin dive, if you will. And so I think this is more of a genre shift thing than a specifically Battlefield thing, but just something I wanted to mention. And even with all of these nitpicks, the game kept pulling me back. There is just something about the way it flows, how fights escalate, and how the chaos comes out of nowhere. And it just really makes you think, yeah, this is Battlefield again. And the best way I believe that I can put it is that Battlefield 6 felt natural. It didn't try to reinvent itself with weird gimmicks or character classes like in Battlefield 2042. It just honed in on what Battlefield does well: team play, big moments, satisfying combat, and it delivered in all aspects. And the gunplay really reminded me of the best parts of modern shooters, but still carrying that Battlefield DNA. It's clear that they have expanded on what Battlefield is, not necessarily evolved past what it is, but just tweaked the experience that little bit more, and come out of the other side with a stellar first-person shooter. Sometimes your real thoughts on the game actually occur when you stumble into little crazy situations. Like there was a time where I was reviving a teammate and building a wall for cover next to us, and then suddenly I got shot down and needed a revive, and just at the very last moment I got revived. It's really those unscripted or ridiculous events that keep you coming back. It's not about winning or losing, it's just about having something worthwhile to talk about after. Battlefield really knocked it out of the park. Once I had closed the game for the last time, I didn't expect this one thing: optimism. Not the marketing side of optimism, but that kind of genuine optimism that comes from having a really good time with a game. Battlefield 6 didn't just run well, it felt right. From the gunplay to the vehicle combat to the way teammates naturally fell into their roles, it reminded me why I even cared about this series in the first place. But I am still cautious. This is just a beta after all, and stuff can still change behind the scenes. But if this is the direction that Battlefield is heading, then yeah, I'm gonna say it. Battlefield is back. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, then subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.